Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to cover the topic of the history of XML. But before I do, I'm probably one of the rare few YouTube personalities on the YouTube platform that will never go, "Oh, please, 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 please like my video. And if you would be ever so kind as to subscribe to my channel, which will cause all my videos to be shared all over the platform." Let me tell you something. That ain't going to work. And I'll tell you why. Because YouTube cannot determine what they need to determine, which is whether my videos are keeping you guys on their platform by the use of the like buttons and the subscribe buttons, okay? Now, why do these people tell you this? Well, number one, it extends the watch time on their videos, which I'll tell you a little later why that would have an effect. But anyway, the other thing is that the like button itself, you could flip through things all day long, just go like. It's not going to tell YouTube anything, okay? Now, as for the subscribe button, that's a little different story. Have you noticed that when you hit the subscribe button now, this little menu pops up and it sets your bell notifications? There you go. That's why they're telling you that. Now, the bell notifications might tell YouTube something about how popular your channel is, and they might want to share your videos because of it. Okay? But what will cause YouTube to share your videos? Well, there are two things you can... Well, first of all, if people like you who are watching these videos right now were to copy the URL of the video and share it on a different social media platform like Facebook, what used to be Twitter, now is X, Gab, you got Truth Social, Instagram, Threads, whatever you want to share it on, that would get your video shared more, okay? Number two, when you increase the watch time of the video, then YouTube gets an indication that people are actually watching the whole thing and not just watching bits or pieces and jump cutting through everything in your video. So that is a good indication. The other thing you could do, okay, is you can leave very nice comments in the comments section below. And what that tells them is you were engaged, you watched, you replied, you really liked the content that you were watching, and that helps your ratings as well. So really what you really want to do if you want to increase, if you want to motivate YouTube to share your videos more often, watch the videos all the way through. Well, not you, but I mean your audience needs to watch the videos all the way through, increasing the watch time of every single one of your videos, or have them leave nice comments in the comment section below so that YouTube can see for themselves that, gee, this is a video we want to share all over the platform. And there you go. And another thing I need to mention real quick before we resume our video is that I have published 5 Kindle books. They're $5 a piece. If you want a copy of any of these Kindle books, just leave me a comment in the comment section below and I'll send you a hyperlink to my latest book, which you now can see on the screen. And then from there you can find my other 4 Kindle books, and there will be more Kindle books coming soon. It's all up to you. Buy them and let me know what you think about them. Alright, on to the video. Alright. Now, once upon a time, many years ago, when computers weren't even connected to each other or even to the internet, well, things were radically different. But those days are long forgotten. We have already covered things like the transmission control protocol and some other terms like that in previous videos. So, yeah. All that history's now been covered. So, what is XML? Well, before I begin, I wanted to say I used to type computer code and computer data into a dumb terminal. The actual computer this dumb terminal was connected to was huge. Okay, it actually took up an entire room. So we had a dumb terminal in one room and this great big computer in an adjoining room. And there was a wire that connected my dumb terminal to that computer. When they disconnected that computer, I bet that was hard. I really can't even imagine them hauling that thing out of there. But there was one nice thing about this computer. All the computer programs me and my other classmates were writing were stored on this computer. And all the data files were also stored on this computer. So if we wanted them, all we had to do is tell the computer, hey, pull them up. And it did. There you go. So it was really easy at that time to connect the computer programs we were writing to the data files that were on that computer. All I had to do is say, hey, open up a certain file, find it, and boom, there you go. But much has changed since those days. Now, do you guys recall when I uploaded a whole bunch of HTML videos? I did this years ago. And I informed you back at that time that there was a computer instruction that a computer could use to find specific text in a computer variable. Well, that would be wonderful if you were creating a simple restaurant menu where you're selling just a few food items. In other words, if you're the owner of a food truck and you wanted a simple computer program to keep track of the food you were selling, creating computer variables and using computer code to find information inside computer variables would be a very easy thing to create. And it'd be just as easy to edit. But then we have to think about department stores. Are department stores like food trucks? No, they got hundreds of items. Would you like to declare a whole bunch of variables to represent every single item that you have in your store? Now think about it. What if you had a ton of merchandise to keep track of? Well, writing it all in HTML would become a really quick nightmare. And even writing it in JavaScript would be a nightmare at that point. No, you need something with a little more kick. Okay, well, we'll just have this HTML page connect to some kind of Microsoft product. You could do that. Like I tried to do when I tried to install SQL Server into my computer years and years ago. That installation went so badly that I actually had to take my hard drive out, put a new hard drive in my computer, and reinstall everything. You don't want SQL Server, not from Microsoft. You could run it through Microsoft Access, but man, you try to get an HTML page to connect to that. Yeah, wait till you have to make up that connection string. You're going to be like, oh, okay, we don't want that either. But here's the worst part. If you thought that was bad, wait. Because you see, I tried to do all that. You bought the software one time, you didn't have to worry about it, you just installed it, and there you were. Then they came out with Microsoft 365. And guess what? You have to pay a monthly fee to use that stuff now. You want to do that? I don't want to do that. You want to be on the hook for Microsoft for the rest of your life? Please. And you don't have to. And you know what the worst part about all of it is? Because a lot of what I'm going to share with you guys tonight, you're going to love this, Microsoft is using it in their software. They have a few little odds and ends that they inject into the dang thing. Most of it's bloatware. But the majority of what they use is stuff that you can get off your own web browser. Amazing, isn't it? Well, fortunately, I found a piece of software that is not nearly as RAM intensive and hard drive intensive as any Microsoft product you'll ever find. and it uses technology similar to what Microsoft does. Okay? And that computer program is called Exist. And if you want to hyperlink to it, I have a video about Exist. You just go into the description box, click it, and you can load it up yourself. You will need Java 11, and I'll explain that in a future video. But I actually did show you guys how to install Java 11. It's not that hard. You install Java 11, you install Exist, and as soon as you do, you're good to go. Now, the best part of Exist is it's free software. Why wouldn't you want it? Okay. Now, in order to use Exist, though, we're going to have to use something called XML, the Extensible Markup Language. Okay? Now, I've been trying to teach you guys XML ever since I put up those HTML lessons all those years ago. Did you pay attention? You should have. XML is the database side of HTML. Okay, and I'm going to explain a lot more about this not too long from now. Now, get this. The languages of XML and HTML are cousins. Can you believe that? So let's take a trip in time back to the 1970s. Now I'm going to introduce you to three people. Now the names of these three people will be down here in the description box below, so you can just look them up for yourself. First one is Charles F. Goldfarb. The second one is Ed Mosher. And the third one is Lorie. Now imagine, if you will, that Charles F. Goldfarb and his friends are wearing hippie clothes and eating at fast food restaurants. It's 1969, and they're working at IBM. They develop a computer language called the Generalized Markup Language. Now, did you notice that the last name of Goldfarb starts with the letter G? Did you notice that the last name of Mosher starts with the letter M? And that the name of Lorie starts with the letter L? The last name starts with the letter L. So when they created this generalized markup language, the G and the M and the L all represented the last names of all three of these guys. Okay, clever, huh? Now, at that time, computers had computer languages like COBOL and Fortran, and they were just starting to have the beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code and that kind of thing. Why would you need HTML? Half of these computers weren't even connected to the internet, so you wouldn't need it. Now, if you'll recall, I made videos about the ARPANET. Now, if you're using the ARPANET back in those days, it was very simple and inexpensive to send a text document from one computer to another through a telephone line than to try to connect one database running COBOL or Fortran to another database running COBOL or Fortran across a phone line. Okay? With all this extra formatting added on top of it. So we go back to Charles F. Goldfarb, Ed Mosher, and Lorie. They came together, they created a computer language comprised of tags. Okay? Alright, do you remember when I taught you HTML, all those tags I taught you about? Okay. Do you recall the head, the body, the paragraph, the input, and the form tags? These tags told the computer how to display the text between the opening and closing tags. Okay? So basically what was happening is that you had this web browser, and this web browser contained these tiny little computer programs. And what happened was they took a look at these tags and said, okay, if that thing has a tag, make the text between the opening and closing tags bold, italic, shift it to the left, shift it to the right, etc., etc. Hence the name metadata. Okay? That's going to become important in just a little bit. Now, there was a little problem with the generalized markup language. Back in those days, these tags weren't enclosed in greater than or less than symbols. They just weren't. That's why it wasn't so immediately adopted. But these three computer programmers weren't finished with the project. They started working on a subset of the generalized markup language called the standard generalized markup language. Remember, they still have the GML, but now they're adding this letter S to it. So now we have SGML. Now, this language was comprised of tags that are very similar to the ones you see in HTML and XML both. Now, did you notice that the letter S in SGML stands for the word standardized? Why was this important? Now, do you recall my discussion about the transmission control protocol? Do you recall my discussion about the ARPANET? Not all computers in those days had the same operating system. Not all computers functioned the same way. So these operating systems of these computers had to be upgraded so they could all understand each other. Okay? And that they could all understand the instructions from the SGML. Otherwise, no one would have ever used HTML or XML. So they came up with something called the Document Type Definition Program. Okay? And this Document Type Definition Program became a part of the SGML computer programming language. This Document Type Definition Program determined what kind of document was being processed by various computers. Now, document type definitions were used to parse documents that they were examining. Okay? We say, well, what does it mean by parse? Well, the word parse literally means to break apart. So what they do is they get this little document in, had all these little tags in it, and what they did was they broke it apart, determined what was metadata and what was real data, and then based on the metadata, it would display your real data however you wanted it to display. Okay? So, what would happen is that some computer way off in Timbuktu land would send a text document full of all these HTML tags or XML tags, and of course the data that's inside of them, and they'd send it from one computer to the next, and when the web browser opened, it looked for these tags, determined that the tags themselves were metadata, and would activate little computer programs in the web browser, while at the same time the data between the tags was considered real data, and that was the stuff that was to be displayed in whatever instructions you gave it. Okay? Now, do you recall a guy by the name of Ted Berners-Lee? If you've been watching my videos, you should recall his name immediately. This guy was very familiar with the language of SGML. He based the HTML language on some of the programming that was found, some of the instructions that was found in the SGML. Now, if you didn't want to find and then analyze any data, HTML would have been the last language ever created for computers. But you just want to read raw data all the time on web pages? Of course not. So, things like JavaScript and XML were invented. JavaScript was a lot like the C programming language. Okay? So it had a lot of origins with that. Okay? So, we now know that HTML was a subset of SGML. But here's the thing. Not only is HTML a subset of SGML, but also XML is a subset of SGML. Okay? Now, why did they just use SGML in the first place? Because SGML is a lot more complicated than HTML or XML combined. It has a lot of instructions, and a lot of us don't ever write those kind of instructions. We really don't. And we never will. So, who worked on this XML project? The list of names is very long, and I won't present all of them here in this video. But if you'll take a look in the description box below, you'll see some of these names, like Jon Bosak, Tim Bray, and C.M. I guess it's Sperberg-McQuee. Okay? All worked on this XML project. The extensible markup language has evolved greatly over the past 20 years. Now virtually anyone can open an XML document and find out whatever information they're looking for. The implementation of namespaces in XML made it possible for two different XML documents to have identical tags, like title tags or book tags or whatever else. And you could put them all together, and the computer wouldn't be confused as to, well, this is one set of books and this is another set of books. They would know because of namespaces. Now, I will discuss XML documents more extensively in future videos. I also discussed XML in those HTML lessons, so I would take a look at that too. Okay. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for watching this particular video. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.